A solid Edmonton Oilers effort on Tuesday night was wasted in the last 6 seconds of overtime. I'll get to what I mean later, but first, Oilers Digest has been on a roll. This is the 11th video in 12 days here, and if you've enjoyed any of it, help us out by hitting that subscribe button. Okay, so this is basically entirely going to be about last night's game. Spoiler alert, Edmonton lost in overtime in what was a thrilling 65 minutes of hockey, but to me, that extra point is one the Oilers completely let get away. First and foremost, Connor McDavid and Stuart Skinner did enough to win this game for the Oilers, as you'll see in these highlights. Let's kick these things off. So, first goaltending, Skinner and Frederik Andersen were both sensational for 65 minutes, so I'll shout that out now. McDavid was unbelievably good as well. He looked like he had an extra gear all night. Good chance early. Skinner sharp as well off the start, and 1 goal and 6 for McDavid coming in, but he rips one past Andersen open the scoring here. Andersen, like I said, phenomenal in the game, but that's probably beating any NHL goaltender. 1-0 Oilers. I'm going to stop here because this play is representative of what I think some of these problems are here for Edmonton. Zach Hyman's getting a ton of flack for going pointless through the first 7 games of the season, but honestly, it's not him. It's Evan Bouchard that's been disappointing to me more than anybody else in this Oilers roster this season. And so let's just look at this chance here from Andrei Svechnikov. Here's 3 still frames, and just watch Evan Bouchard back there, okay? So he's in position right now, and and there we are. Skinner ends up bailing him out by denying Svechnikov on the break, but Bouchard, man, is supposed to be one of the NHL's best defensemen, and the way he plays that rush would probably get him stapled to the bench if he played for the WHL team I work for, let alone the Edmonton Oilers. So, moving on, as I mentioned in my video on Monday, Edmonton's power play needed to improve, and they did in a pretty big way yesterday. Chances are they'd have been more than successful if not for how good Frederik Andersen was in between the pipes for Carolina. Not to be outdone, though, Stuart Skinner remained sharp, and that power play did finally break through early in the second period, and it's more McDavid brilliance. Nice give and go there with Draisaitl. He cuts in and tucks it home to make it 2-0 Edmonton. The rest of the second period was a goaltending battle, and Skinner made probably the best save of the game on an early third period Hurricanes power play right after he made that great glove save late in the second. Jarvis from the slot kicks it out to Necas, but Skinner makes a great desperation save with a pad. Unfortunately, the play went on, and before Edmonton could clear, Necas connects with Shane Gostisbehere power play goal. It's 2-1. Andersen stood on his head to keep the Canes within 1 before we witness more horrendous defending by Edmonton's supposed superstars, and I'm going to stop this again. If you've played hockey or watched hockey, you probably know that the defenseman's responsibility on a 2-on-1 is to block the pass and let the goalie fake the shot. Or if you're the $9.5 million man Darnell Nurse, you just do neither. Eric Robinson slides the puck past Nurse across the crease, and Necas has an easy tap in. All of the Stuart Skinner and Connor McDavid heroics completely undone, and it's 2-2. Moving into overtime, I want to point something out off the hop. Here's the start of it, and let's observe the personnel on the ice. It's McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard against Jordan Staal, Brent Burns, and Jacob Slavin. This is Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour saying that we're going to win this game even if we have to do it ugly, because on the ice is 2 defensemen and a defensive centerman. So Carolina on this shift, clearly the priority is stopping the 3 superstars on the ice for the Edmonton Oilers, and the quote, we're gonna win this game even if we have to do it ugly mindset is really important, and I'll touch on it at the end here. So overtime starts, a couple chances for the Oilers. Andersen denies McDavid on a nice net drive. Evan Bouchard has an opportunity from the slot, he can't bury it. Nugent-Hopkins to Hyman, and he's stopped, and the Oilers' offense first mindset was almost exploited short after, and Stuart Skinner has to bail out his boys again with a save on a Sebastian Aho breakaway. He stops Andrei Svechnikov on a tight angle bid later on, and I love this little smile and pad tap that Svechnikov gives him after. Necas did beat Skinner but hit the bar later on, and here we go into the last 30 seconds. I'm going to stop this again because this last 30 seconds truly infuriated me, and I don't really like just being negative because there's enough negativity out there. But this entire shift from these 3 screams complacency. So McDavid slides it through for Draisaitl. We can stop it here. Great chance for Draisaitl one-on-one, but Andersen makes a great save. Okay, so right here, there has to be recognition from Draisaitl and McDavid that if they don't get the puck off Martin Necas' stick, Carolina's going to have a 2-on-1. They don't. They push on Necas, they get caught up deep in the offensive zone. Necas gets the puck up to Aho, and now Carolina have a 2-on-1. Skinner again is going to bail him out the first time, but just wait. Gostisbehere wins this race for the loose puck, and I'm going to stop it again because that's Shane Gostisbehere on the boards. He's surrounded by Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard with 10 seconds left in overtime. I'll put this into different terms. Carolina right now have the puck in the Edmonton zone with 10 seconds to go in overtime. What do you think the priority should be from here? Well, Gostisbehere just makes a simple 5-foot pass into the middle of the ice, and somehow that pass is going to take McDavid and Bouchard completely out of the play. I shouldn't have ripped too hard on Bouchard for how horribly he played that Svechnikov chance, because in that instance, he looked like Bobby Orr compared to this one. Nate just takes the pass. Bouchard and McDavid are in no man's land, and it's a 2-on-1 with Aho. I'm not going to blame Draisaitl for the fact that the supposed defenseman on the ice completely abandoned him. Nate just to Aho, and it's game over. Again, I want to be positive. I want to assess things glass half full, but this was such a preventable loss. Listen, the shootout, for better or for worse, it still exists, which means the Oilers could have played an ounce of defense in the last 20 seconds of overtime and still could have gone on to win the game in the shootout. Edmonton dropped to 2-4-1, and while I know goal scoring and offense is still going to get criticized for not being able to put this game to bed, Edmonton's defense cost them this game. It was way too easy for the Hurricanes to generate chances, and it was embarrassingly easy for them to generate an opportunity in overtime here. At one point, this was a 2-on-3 in the Oilers zone. The Oilers had 3 defensemen in the zone, but the Hurricanes had 2 attackers with 10 seconds left. And it goes from a 2-on-3 with 10 seconds left to the back of the net 4 seconds later. And that's part of the reason why I pointed out the overtime personnel off the top. Burns, Slavin, and Stahl, like I said, was Brind'Amour saying he was willing to win it ugly. But McDavid and Bouchard jumping the D zone with 10 seconds left in overtime, that's complacency. Credit where credit is due. Frederik Andersen and Stuart Skinner are both fantastic. They both deserve to win this game. Andersen, of course, ended up doing so. The Oilers have Pittsburgh on Friday night, who themselves did get goalied last night as well. Dustin Wolf won it for a shootout in Calgary against Pittsburgh. Lastly today, TSN's Bruce Boudreau had a word of warning for an Edmonton Oilers team who have come out of the gates in a similar manner to their slow start last year. Boudreau most recently, of course, coached the Canucks, where he became quite familiar with his team going through periods of incredible hockey followed by horrible hockey. Boudreau said, quote, "You cannot depend on, oh, we're just going to win 10 to 12 in a row. They've started to come back 1-2, but let's just say they have a little glitch and they lose the next 2. They're starting all over again. Another week or 2 down the drain. The idea is they have to get to 500 and go from there." It's a warning that I think needs to be taken seriously. The big hole the Oilers were able to work themselves out of last season is not a feasible expectation every year. So it needs to be taken seriously, not just by Kris Knoblauch, but really by Stan Bowman as well. They were 7 games into this season. I know that's a short sample size, but Bowman's got the keys to this Oilers roster, and if changes need to be made, I don't know why we're wasting our time not making them. That's all for me today. Thanks for watching.